you get it? She's got the phone number. If you don't mind, we'll do that first, so he's expecting a call.
Sounds good.
All right, it's 6 o'clock, November 15th. We'll call the Account and Finance Committee meeting to order. First one is going to be talking about some bonds, and we're going to
And Jennifer's
conference
gonna call
call
the
the gentleman with Citizens Bank.
He's with Citizens Bank. Jennifer, let me get the microphone. As you may or may not know, we have some money that we maintain in a money market account right now. And I was just telling Ben earlier, the total amount in that money market account is $9.1 million.
When did that money market stop accumulating the what were we getting? It was fairly.
If I'm not mistaken, that was it the first of the year? I think.
Mr. Phillips?
I can check. It may have been the 1st of July or something like that, but
it's
we were making 3.6% on a money market account with the Benchmark Bank, and we had, about $5 million in that thing. We have $9 million cash sitting aside, but we're getting ready to send out some invoices. So of that amount, $3,700,000 is considered undesignated. Our discussions with Mr. Phillips, who's on the phone, would be for $4 million because we have two other items that we very rarely, if ever, tap into. And one of those is meter deposits, and the other one of those is the perpetual care fund for the cemetery, which really can't be used, right? And that's over $225,000. I can give you an exact figure.
Off that for operating?
Pardon?
Can we use the interest off of that for operating?
The interest off that last CD, the last year we built the concession stand and did football.
Well, I'm talking about
Field.
off the perpetual care
It just goes back into the
general fund.
general fund as far as I know, unless Jennifer, when she reconciles it, she adds interest to it, but I don't, it won't be much interest. At 0.25% is what we're drawing on the money market right now, and the CD rates are about the same. We went with the VML investment pool a few years ago, and that thing was up and down and all over the place, and it was tied to the stock market, and yikes. So Taylor Quick and I have had some conversations, and Mr. Phillips, as the result of those conversations, Jennifer Hardy did put out a call to Virginia Municipal League, VACO Finance, that has helped us on some interim financing and some other issues, also Benchmark Bank and Citizens Bank, and Citizens Bank was the only one that responded. And Mr. Phillips hopefully can explain to us a little bit about treasury bonds. Jim, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yes. What would you like me to?
Can you give us basically a rundown of how this works? Because I know I'll mess it up if I try it, but we're talking about a total principal amount of $4 million. I think in your initial proposal or initial discussions, we were talking about $1 million for 6 months, $1 million for 1 year, and $2 million for 2 years.
Okay.
And then
I'll give you just an overview, just so we make sure that we understand this. These are obligations from the United States or different maturities. The shorter term bills, anything a year or less, are they're like a zero coupon bond. Like if you remember buying a savings bond at a bank for $50 and it matures to 100 years down the road, it doesn't pay any interest in cash. It just gains in value to the maturity face value. So those are the ones that are a year or less. You're just going to buy them at a discount. If you, for example, bought, $1,000 treasury bill for a year paying 4%, you'd pay $960. It would mature to $1,000. You'd make $40. That's your 4%, just to give you an idea. Anything longer than that, 2 years or longer, or the treasury note, and they pay actual interest every 6 months. So if you had, $1 million at a 4% interest for 2 years or longer, then that would pay you $40,000 a year. As far as the safety, if you look at a range of investments from, most conservative, safest to, speculative, the U.S. Treasury bills and bonds are the least risky because they're backed by the full faith of the U.S. Treasury. So no problems with that. They are, you pay interest, federal income taxes. There's no state and local taxes on U.S. government bonds. There's a little bit of a benefit there. And I think that's mainly it, unless you have questions on anything.
I have a
Go ahead.
I have a question on the schedule. I don't know if we're holding the same papers in front of us, but on your page 5 of 9, when you talk about when it goes through the buying schedule, the 1,500, and then the final 1,000,
Right.
is that 43,000 of 12-month income all based on the 1,000 without those other 3,000 bonds being purchased or bills being purchased?
Yeah, I know this is confusing because what this is showing you is the bills, the 2-year that actually pays interest. So the other ones aren't going to show any interest on there. So I know Philip had that same question on that. So even the ones that are the year or less, if you want to do something like that, you're just going to buy it at a discount. It's called imputed interest. You don't actually receive it into the account. It's just a change in the value, and that is, that's your return or your yield. It's just not going to show up on, an income that's actually paid out to the account.
And once that term is up, then you would receive that full amount, correct?
Yeah, like I said before, if you got $1,000 worth of a treasury bill, you're going to pay $960 if it's 4%, and it'll mature to $1,000. So you've increased your gain by $40. It just didn't pay out to the account.
Now, what is your thoughts on rates for 2 years? Obviously, that's committed for 2 years in that fund, correct?
I think we have that on there as one of the options.
I mentioned to Philip earlier with the rates possibly getting ready to go up yet again. Is it best to go shorter term right now and hope that the rates go up, and then we put the $2 million or whatever it be for longer term? Or is it best just to, like we're doing, like y'all are discussing now, do one short term, do another one short term, and then do one long term, and then we can reinvest the 3 or 6 month ones at the higher interest rate?
Yeah, I've kind of been doing that with most people. I don't know what rates are going to do. They look like they're going to increase probably into the end of the year, maybe a little bit into next year. I don't know if they're going to increase as much as they had before. There have been a couple of reports last week and this week that just showed that inflation was ticking down a little bit versus estimates, and that's where everybody gets excited that, oh my gosh, maybe rates will not go up as high or as fast. Right now, if you look at the 6 month, the 12 month, and the 2 year, they're about the same. It really drops off after 2 years. They're all around 4.3 to 4.5. There is a chance that, between now and 2 years, rates could come down some. These 2, 5, and 10 year rates have actually come down in the last month. So yeah, nobody knows. It's hard to tell. Rates are probably going to go up for the short term. We don't know for longer term. So that's why I usually suggest splitting them up a little bit, have some longer term, and then have some shorter term, so that if rates go up, you're covered. If they don't, or if they start going down, you've got some money that's locked in for a couple of years as well.
What's your you got an early withdrawal penalty by any chance?
You don't have a penalty. These are bonds on the secondary market, so you're not buying them directly from the government. You're buying them from a secondary market. So when you buy them, you can sell them at any time. The determining factor is going to be the length of maturity that's still left. If it's getting close to maturity, you're probably going to get what it was going to be. What the full value and yield was. Rates, these bonds, if the rates start to go up even more, and you try to sell it, you're not going to get as much. If they start going down, you could actually make some money on those bonds.
I just ask for the
It just
fact.
depends on the interest rate environment at the time.
I just ask for if we have an ice storm like we did years ago, where we need we gotta have money. Can we take our citizens' money out?
Can we use it as collateral on a loan if we got in a tight spot?
You probably could, but that's a,
Now, did you say this was taxable, but we didn't have to do local taxes? What, can you go over that
Well,
again?
yeah, and it depends on how municipalities are taxed, so I'm not a tax expert, but in general, treasury bonds, the interest is, taxable for federal taxes, but not state and local for anybody else.
To my knowledge, the town of Blackstone doesn't pay any sort of taxes.
We
on,
don't
you
do
know,
any federal
yeah.
filing at all.
Yeah.
So that, like, how does that work? Do
You're-
we have to get a bond counsel
you're
to
good.
handle that? Or we're good? So when we go to cash out, are we gonna get taxed on it?
If you're, again, I can't answer a tax question, but if you're not normally getting taxed, you're not having to pay federal taxes on any interest you get, like on CDs and stuff like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Correct.
Yeah, I would think that's the case as well, just because of your tax status. But I would talk to whoever does your taxes. Don't take my word for it.
We don't do taxes. I don't have anybody to ask. So, what are your fees? What does it cost to do this?
I listed here for the 4 million. It was approximately $2,000 totals, and it probably just it varies a little bit. It shouldn't be too much different than that. It just depends on where the yields are and the pricing are. So, but that should be pretty close to that number.
Is that in your proposal?
Actually, I think that's in the email you may have sent me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the email. It's not in the proposal.
Now, if we got in a bind and needed to sell it, are you the one that would handle that, or do we get new contact, or who's the secondary market we'd be having to go through if we needed to sell it? That is you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have I just get a hold of our fixed income desk. There's a couple of guys who've been doing this for a long time.
And what's the turnaround time in the event we would have to do that? Just how fast the market is, or what are you kind of seeing? Does that take 30 days, 60
No.
days, 90? What is that?
No, same day.
Same
Yeah,
day.
that's an easy one. Yeah, that's
Okay.
very liquid market treasuries, yeah.
Okay.
And what's the maturity on that? That's where I'm confused with the
You
schedule.
guys have any other questions?
When would be the maturity date? 3 and 6 months.
Hang on 1 second, Jim, okay?
We're getting there.
Okay.
Ben, you got any questions?
Or no, 6
No, I haven't
months.
had time to think about it, I'm just, is it a true 4% APR if you just get one disbursement on your interest? I mean, it's an annual percentage rate, that's what it would sound like, but, I'm just thinking if you, if you did it, or is it more advantageous to do them all for 2 years, or 18 months?
But the rates are virtually the same, so I don't know if there's
Okay.
true value in stretching it out. And I don't think that 4.37% that he's got on that, or Jennifer's got up on the screen, because you gotta take his fees out, so I think it would be something south of that.
I heard him say something about, risk, we're not gonna do anything that's gonna put the taxpayers' money
So
at
this,
risk.
I think the question is, there can be variance in income, but actually the principal is not at risk, is that all correct?
You're just dependent on the U.S. Treasury to pay you back. That they take the principal risk.
That's
So
good enough
it-
for me.
If the United States goes south, then
Well, they
this
just
could go
print,
south.
they just print me a
Does
little
not
bit,
pay
send it to me.
their interest
Right.
and principal, then
Mhm.
we're in big trouble.
Okay. Yeah,
But
we are.
that's who you're relying on, right?
Chris,
Jake?
did you have a question, Chris?
Yeah, he said some of these bonds weren't directly from the government, they were on the secondary market. What's the risk on those? What's the downside on those?
There's a gentleman in the audience that asked a question, his name is Chris Page, and I think the question is, since you're not buying directly from the federal government, is the backing still with the federal government, the principal?
Yeah, he said some of them were secondary bonds.
And in the secondary market, that doesn't affect the volatility
See what I heard?
toward the principal, is that correct?
You made a comment at the beginning.
No, it's the same. It's the same. Usually if you buy direct from the government, those are pretty big, purchases. Those are multi-million dollars. Those are other countries. You know, those are some big, purchases. So they have secondary markets, so anybody that has a retail account can buy, whatever amount they want. That's basically it. Just makes it much easier and liquid, to do it that way in the secondary market versus direct. But all the other, risks and yields and everything else is the same.
I think the risk issue, I mean, like Ben just said, I have no concern whatsoever. If they're backing it, that doesn't concern me.
So based off this, I'm on page 9. Based off this, I'm seeing we need to hold these for about a year and a half. Is that correct? Am I reading this correctly?
I think it was
From May 2023 to October 2024,
Page 5.
5 of 9.
Are you asking the holding?
How long are we required to hold this the way it's written?
The way that I have this set up, you're going to have 6-month treasuries, and it all depends on what you do. But 6-month treasuries, they're going to mature. You'll have the cash, and you can reinvest it in another 6 months, or you can go to a different maturity. And then the 1 year, obviously, is 1 year, and 2 years, 2 years. So they're just going to mature at different times, depending on how you want to structure it. They are liquid, but the best way to do this is to hold them to maturity.
And if you don't, and you're saying if you don't hold them to maturity, then
You're like a zero coupon bond, you have to sell them. You don't turn them back in, they're gonna mature. Am I correct? This is Ben Green, Mayor-elect. I've also been on the Finance Committee for 8 years. Am I correct that these are like zero coupon bonds? You don't turn them back into the treasury, you just sell them to someone else? Is that
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Correct.
Okay.
They don't take a penalty out of what you've put in.
No, because the penalty's gonna be what the market brings.
Correct.
And if interest rates crash, these will go up in value.
Absolutely.
Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Bonds
But
go into the opposite direction of interest rates. So if interest rates take off going up, then the value of these is not going to be, they're going to go down, because you could buy another similar bond at a higher rate. So if you want to sell it and you put it out for bid, somebody will buy it for sure, but they're going to give you a discount, so that discount equals the current yield.
Yep.
Or if rates drop suddenly, you could actually, bid out your bond and make some money on the bond itself and get more than $1,000.
I mean, I don't foresee us needing to actually go and dig into these. I think we're just making sure that the citizens know
Yeah.
that we can pull it out without being any harm to their money at any time.
Yeah, I don't, and you can, if there's an emergency, you definitely can sell them. And like I say, that's one of the reasons why it's nice to have a shorter maturity. That can be your go-to if you need to get some money, because the chances are it's going to be pretty close to maturity, and you're going to get just about what you paid for it anyway.
Okay. Any other questions?
Jim, I think we're done. Thank you, sir.
All right, great.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Appreciate you
All right.
giving us your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
yeah, I understand.
See you, man.
Have a good evening.
I don't understand this quite as well.
I think you have to, he's explained, so like on the stuff shorter than a year or two, like Philip said, if you
buy the discounted amount.
$100 worth of bonds, you're really only gonna pay $90, whatever it is, up front. In return, you're going to get $100 back. So
if
even
you wait,
short,
if you wait for
if you
maturity.
if you wait for maturity.
So is
Go-
maturity
go into
only
this thinking
guaranteed?
You're gonna wait till maturity.
Maturity
Absolutely.
only guaranteed if you go to maturity? Is this?
I would
this
say so,
Yield only
yes.
guaranteed? So my confusion is, on a normal bond, if you sell before maturity, you risk the market.
You risk your yield,
You risk your yield.
Your gains.
your gains. It'll reduce your gains, but
But
not a
also
principal.
on a normal bond, if you sell before maturity, then you can risk your principal as well.
I don't think that's the case. I think your
On a normal
principal.
bond, not a secured
Right.
bond.
Yeah, no, this one you're not risking, I wouldn't wanna be talking about it if this was one of those things where we had talked about with, VML, whatever.
Oh, that thing was crazy. It was up and down and up and
The
down.
only
We're
thing you're
having to look at that
risking,
almost
you're just
daily.
risking your yield. Okay. So they're not guaranteeing this 4% if you don't hold it to maturity.
Correct. Yes.
It's gonna pay that to somebody.
Yeah.
And probably
Maybe the
gonna
guy
be-
that buys
probably
it.
Gonna be the town of Blackstone because we're not gonna need the money.
So
Still
the-
leaves $5 million in reserves.
So I wish I would've asked this question when he was on the phone. My only last confusion is if you don't hold this to maturity, if we decide to sell, we wanna sell $2 million of these in a year.
Mhm.
And interest rates have went down. Do we risk losing all of the yield and we held our money for no reason?
A percentage of
Or do
your
we
yield.
get it- Or do we,
The percentage.
is it a percent or is it all of it?
No, percentage of it,
Percentage.
whatever it's bought for,
It's all tiered.
whatever somebody purchases it for.
You can't
But I
do
can tell
something-
you what you're getting now. You're getting 2.5 basis points, and that is it on this money market account. You're getting approximately zero interest. I think we get, I don't know, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600.
mentioned this, or Taylor Quick mentioned this 3 months ago.
Mhm.
I mean, rates were going up then, and I was like, man, we'd be crazy if we didn't do it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it personally. I'm like, I need to talk to this guy. If anybody has anything, I feel like it's probably pretty smart right now.
Is that a motion?
I move that we present it to council at November, Monday meeting.
Is it 6 1 year and then the 2 year?
I mean, I personally think it should be reversed actually, but I'm
Or
not
more
gonna get into
in a
that to where you
shorter
should,
term?
yeah.
So
But,
he was proposing what, 6?
and the only reason I say that is because you heard him specifically say it's going to go up. I mean, we've already heard it's going to go up another point in December. So you know that the rates are going to go up. So that's why I said maybe we should,
Well, you'll have that $1 million to go back in.
yeah. So either way, I mean, I trust you and this guy's expertise with it.
I'm gonna learn. That's why I have him on the phone, because I'm still a little of a neophyte on this as well.
We're not tying up money for 10, 20 years.
No.
We're doing it for 2 years at max. And that's
At
not
the
even
max.
truly tying it up if you,
And in 6 months, we find this thing really stinks it up. You can take the first one out, and then you can sell the other ones and just say that didn't work out, and coming back to something else.
With
But
but you're being guaranteed pretty much 4% or more.
if you stick it out, yeah.
So the difference between this and a normal secure treasury, the difference between a treasury bill and a treasury bond, as I've learned tonight, is a treasury bond, if you buy a 4-year treasury bond and you sell early
Mm-hmm.
before it's up, it is no longer guaranteed and you can lose on principal and lose your interest. But on this treasury bill, he's saying that's not the case if we sell
Only the
early.
interest,
Only the interest.
Right.
Yeah.
unless the federal government defaults.
Seems like a pretty good deal.
It sounds pretty crazy if we didn't.
So what exactly are we doing? Are we doing 6 months, $1 million?
$1 million at 6, $1 million at a year, and $2 million at 2 years.
Gotcha.
So 1, 1, and 2.
1, 1, and 2.
6.
6, 1, and 2, that's what you're recommending.
Yes.
So to come up with the full amount, we got 3.7
Mm-hmm.
cash. I just looked at $236,000 that Jennifer got into and reconciled the perpetual care account. Okay, and then the difference would be taken out of what portion of the meter deposit? You're sitting over $200,000 in meter deposits that are, run-on meter deposits. I don't think it's realistic that we'd have to come up with all of them all at one time.
How soon could this go into effect? I mean, if we were to vote Monday,
Tuesday.
okay, so pretty quick.
I'm saying Tuesday we'll
It's,
set the machine in motion, and
Gotcha.
he's probably gonna have to work with Jennifer on getting wires and all that kind of stuff, so getting the money moved.
yeah. All right. Well then, did you second that?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Obviously. All right. We move to budget billing, since we have 2 individuals in here for that, I guess.
No, I don't think.
This sounds like we probably have to exit.
It sounds like what?
We'll have to-
Yes, you'll love what I have to say about it,
I support what Brittany's been
as you should.
we go, Mel.
Hey, what's up, man? How y'all doing?
All right, budget billing program. Brittany, it's yours.
Okay. So you can see here that I put together like a timeline of budget billing. It started May 2019. We had 180 customers apply. In the past 3 years, we have 27 enrolled. That was when I made this sheet. I sent out letters October 31st. We did kind of a small true up, letting customers know what their credit or balance was and offered them a payment plan. and then offer them if they wanted to stay on budget billing or be removed from the program. 13 did not respond, and out of the 27 customers, we only have 10 currently on budget billing now.
How much time does it take your staff
You don't want to know, Eric.
to do 10 accounts?
Hours.
Because the system's not doing what
The
they
system's
thought.
not equipped.
The system should knock them off if they don't make a payment, they're not, so the girls are having to put special attention into these 10 accounts.
I started a ticket with Bright on November 2nd as just telling them my concerns with budget billing, how it's not doing what we originally thought the program was supposed to do. You know, you get a 5% penalty on the first of the month if you haven't paid. If that happens, it's supposed to automatically take the customer off of budget billing. It doesn't do that. They have yet to respond to my ticket
So it seems like we're,
because they know the program isn't equipped to handle it. Yeah,
So-
and it's very confusing for the customers as well.
What if we were to cancel this as of Monday night when we vote? How do you go about those individuals that are currently on it? What's the transition like?
So the
I don't want
transition-
to create a burden on those 10.
Absolutely.
that are on
Nope. So the transition, in my opinion, what I would do is I would let them know due to interest in the program, you know, it'll no longer be running, and I would offer them a payment plan for the balance. None of them have large balances.
it. And people need to understand also, you can still technically have your own budget.
Right, you can
billing,
pay as much as you like, as long as you're paying at least the
at
balance.
least the balance.
Right, but you can always overpay if you like, but that's what I would do. I would send out notices letting them know we will work with them in any way to pay the balance.
Okay.
this seems pretty easy.
I don't want to create a burden on people that obviously we provided a program.
Right, absolutely. And I've been very honest with the customers.
We partly failed it due to Bright and some past stuff over there.
Right.
but-
And I've been very honest with the customers and let them know, you know, the system isn't equipped to handle this right now, and we have apologized for the confusion, and they've been very nice about it.
Yeah.
When we do the system upgrade, once we have the good
Right,
utilities all under control, then, we might not be able to offer it again, but not on this platform. Like, it's just gonna have to.
Well, and it makes us look hoary. I mean, when we say,
Yeah.
oh, well, we can't really do it, and then we just
yeah,
keep trying to kick the can down the road,
yeah.
that's not a good look.
Our original haste to move to the new program was because mainly this budget billing program, is that correct? Move to the new system?
That we couldn't afford this.
I remember
budget
when
year.
we said, hey, we're not gonna do it this year, we can't afford it, plus our budget billing's not right.
No, I think more than anything, we didn't pursue it in the budget because we were switching meters. I think some of the chaos that we had going on, and I think Jennifer and certainly I have just set it aside for a little while. I think that fully the intention is to make the switch, and I saw some emails from you today about our current provider. The intention's there, the plan is there. Jennifer has actually even gone out and solicited proposals, and we've gotten ideas from folks. We've got a lot going on with our utility metering. We're switching all of our, and we have a new utility clerk, Ashley, who's here with us. And I think with the chaos, I think we just need to sit for a year and come
Is
back
that
to the next budget cycle.
The expectation would be,
But I don't think the ladies are any less interested
Well,
in seeing this.
I mean, you figure, if you're talking next, I heard him say next budget cycle, I mean, we're talking 6 months. I mean,
So we
I would
wanna-
like for us, and I know the ladies in the office can get it done, not just, I mean, cleaning up stuff like this, and if you're already saying Bright's not responding, why are we doing business with them? I mean,
that's my point as well.
I don't like that.
Right.
How much do we pay them a year?
A lot.
A whole lot.
A whole lot,
I
yeah.
see bills from Bright all the time.
But I don't think right
What's on the
now
average you pay?
we need to
I can't
compound it.
remember.
any worse than
30,000
it is.
probably.
3,000,
30,000.
30,000.
We don't need to compound the confusion right now
Agreed.
No,
agreed.
but if we're gonna be a year out from,
from launch.
From
I
launch,
think you're,
anyways.
this time next year, you could be talking about getting everything put
The
together.
system is
It's
equipped to
usually a
do,
decision this budget,
This budget,
this budget cycle.
it's
And I think
equipped to
there
do
was
the
some
bare minimum, but not,
questions. Some
things
counties
like
were
this.
having some trouble with the installation of the new stuff, and we wanted to get through that. I think the
Mhm.
auditors had indicated that there were some folks that had made this switch to a different software, and we just wanna make sure those glitches got cleaned up before we walk right into
Yeah.
it.
I mean, and also not just for this stuff, but we also really like the idea of the app and having
Yeah, mhm.
all this stuff that's capable of moving us forward with times.
I don't think anybody's forgotten about it. I don't think I'm gonna get Jennifer to forget about it. And I'll be honest with you, if it works better, let's go.
I mean, we're not talking about a cheap expense, what were we talking, 106, if I remember,
$160,000.
$160,000?
Well, if we're gonna start thinking about it for next budget cycle, 160,000 is a lot to think about, which
Well.
means we probably need to start.
We've already
Making
saved
sure
4
that it's-
grand.
I'd also be willing to say that we could take, I mean, we just talked about, we could get 150 grand, 160 grand in interest off of a CD.
That may be the way back.
Let the citizens' money work for itself by creating a more user-friendly app.
Mhm.
So what do we, so to prepare for next budget cycle, I know that during budget season, there's a lot of things that come up the couple months beforehand. Is there anything we can do now to be proactive to see if these problems have been fixed at other counties and get an estimate on when our meters are gonna be ready for it, just to see, just to do that initial
Well, I can
study?
tell you, we've received over 600 meter, and we're not switching all the meters out. We do have some that need to be replaced, they're old. But we ordered 1,275 meters, 1,200 meters.
Water meters.
Water meter reading nodes, and I want to use the wrong
ERT.
term. ERTs.
Hurts.
And we've ordered 1,200, they've only delivered about 600 of them.
And that's to remote read, correct?
That's a remote read water meter, so you don't have to physically walk out there with a wand. Your electric meter right now today is read by Dan or Charlie with a laptop. Boop, 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 and they
In a matter of a day or half
A matter
day,
of
right?
3 hours.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to cut 3 guys reading meters for 3 days into one guy reading them concurrently when he's reading the
Yep.
electric meter.
And I imagine that also opens opportunities to reallocate labor inside the office as well, is that true?
It really is pretty inefficient going to each water meter. Now, there's a value to it because has somebody broken the lid, or is it full of water? Is there a leak? Or there are some things to that.
Well, we should still, not to raise alarm to people that you're talking, we can't detect leaks. We'll be able to detect that from readings themselves.
Should be able to.
We should be able to.
Should red flag, and you should be able
Yeah.
to go back and say, hey, we have a problem. And the majority of those water meters, the intention was to pay for it using ARPA money, which is of water and sewer eligible uses. Like I said, we've only received about 600 of them, and we've made that order how long ago? This whole thing was supposed to be launched and good to go the 1st of January this year. We're in November, and we just had a training session last week.
Is it just
You know,
supply and
half
demand
the-
issues?
I asked the guys, I said, "Well, the rest of the meters, we're giving you as many as we can. We don't have them.
Gotcha.
We just can't get them." And so, needless to say, that project should be finished. One thing that we do in anticipation is in December. Mary's been doing it. Josh Worrell, Morgan Quick started. Josh Worrell took it over, but Mary will be doing a capital improvement plan update. Okay, and we don't always chop off a whole lot every year. And it gets bigger and bigger, but it's really a wish list. What does everybody want? And then we a la carte kind of pick this project, that project, this project, that project. And just to get us to a point where we have a plan, so we can come to you guys and say, in the budget, we're looking at $600,000 for street project, or $400,000, we know. we need to
I actually
do
am
it.
very depressed when a comprehensive plan comes before us because it's frightening. Because a lot of the stuff is actually needs to be done.
Capital improvement plan?
Yeah, capital
yeah.
improvement.
Devastating.
Yeah.
If you look at just the utilities out at Fort Pickett, and I'm not talking about the treatment plant, because both of those have been renovated within the past 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just all the old pipes and hideousness that's out there. And we're slowly, with our new rate structure with Pickett, able to take advantage of some of those increased revenues. But we haven't even started that stuff. And it's all 80 years old.
Yeah.
80 years old. There's plenty to do out there. You won't run out of capital projects, I'm sure. I can, off the top of my head, give you 20 of them. We probably all can give you a half a dozen of them that we want to do. Plus replacing old equipment. Cherry pickers starting to get a little age on it, and street sweeper getting age on it. Dan's got a bucket truck that he intended on buying this year.
So Brittany, out of the budget billing, I know we had a mishap over there. How much has it cost us a pretty amount, Penny? I mean,
Man
have we-
hours?
No,
No, oh.
money. I mean, stuff we've had to eat where we thought we were supposed to be getting X, Y, and Z from somebody and we didn't, and
No, on utility accounts, everyone has paid what they're supposed to pay. Like, we haven't adjusted any money off of accounts. There's no very large outstanding balances. The largest balance is probably $900. $5 maybe.
'Cause I remember when we were talking about this a few months ago, there
Yeah.
was one or two accounts
We've
where
cleaned
we
it up.
thought there wasn't supposed to be a true
Right.
up. There actually was.
We've actually cleaned that account, those
Okay.
two accounts up.
Perfect.
Yep. So there's no very large balances. And honestly, no one even applies for it anymore. I mean,
Well, I would be comfortable if we voted tonight to recommend to council that this program is obsolete but make sure that the 10 people, I don't care how long it takes.
Right.
Ultimately,
yeah, we'll give
As
them a
long as
payment
they're
plan,
given
And I think
ample
council
time.
did vote already about the
a 12-month payment plan.
12-month period.
Okay.
I
As
think
long as
that's
they've
the
given
way-
plenty
And we've
of
sent
ample time.
letters, like I said, October 31st, we sent letters out to kind of give them a heads up.
Effective January 1, at least give them a heads up, because some people do budget out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, I'm,
Are y'all good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Give them a little bit of a-
I'll
Yeah.
make a motion to recommend cutting the budget billing program effective January 1 with our current repayment plan for.
Okay.
and just state that we will be in the future possibly implementing another plan.
Right, when we
once
have
get
a
new system.
new system. Okay.
I second that. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
And if there's anything we can do to be proactive about this new system, because instead of waiting until the last 2 months before budget season, just if it's, if it's already not working for the counties, then I'm
I have a full RFP that was already completed and done, interviewed, everything. I've got the full packet ready to go. And all of my vendors have said, well, just come back to us for another price. Of course,
Yeah,
I'll do it
obviously
the right
you
way,
gotta update
rebid
the-
it, but we have done all the footwork.
I
all
don't
the
mean that, I don't mean
research.
that portion of it at all.
It's already ready to go.
I mean, just making sure the kinks have been worked out with the other communities, and
That there's no
and
flaws in our
that,
system.
and then the last part is seeing how close we are for the heaters.
Okay, so in preparation of the budget, just like you had mentioned, I'm trying to get ahead of the budget like I do every year. And when Mr. Green was here, we would do a good thing where if anybody got donations from the town, I would always check their profit and loss every year. But it would always come through account and finance requesting it. Well, we kind of got away from that, and I'd like to kind of mirror more what other localities do. You submit budget requests. Outside agencies submit budget requests during budget cycle, so you guys are not inundated with requests March, April, May, halfway through a budget season. So what this is gonna do, and I would like to plan on doing an advertisement for this, letting people know, that there are instructions if you apply to the town of Blackstone for donations or anything like that, there's a way to do it. And to ensure that the people are using the town's funds. If they're coming back for a second request, they should tell us what they spent their money on the year prior. It kind of goes right along with what we did years ago. It kind of streamlined it a little bit more, making sure that they complete the application, the needs of funds, whether they're a 501c3. I did read state code, and it does say that some organizations, if they're not a 501c3, we can still donate to, if there was specific verbiage.
I almost feel like though it's taxpayer dollars. I feel like they
Correct.
need to be a 501c3 in my opinion.
That's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
And
I think so too.
and then, when we give that time,
Yeah.
whatever we give up, before we give up any more money, those records should be clear. We should know what
Correct,
we-
and I had files from years ago. I mean, we're talking fire department, I'm talking rescue squad, any nonprofit that we give yearly money to, we should have on file, just to make sure that they're being good stewards of the money as well.
And I don't think it's scrutinizing. I don't want people saying on the fire department or squad or whoever. Technically, they're almost town entities already. I don't want them feeling like we're scrutinizing what their funds go to as much as just. I mean, if Clay's Landscaping comes up and says, "Oh, I want $5,000," personally, I think it's a crazy request because you shouldn't. You have to be a 501c3. I think. I mean, a for-profit venture should not be requesting dollars from our taxpayers.
Correct. And this just kind of streamlines it, and it puts it on a timeline for account and finance. I would like the requesters to have the information to us by February 1st. I'm flexible with you guys if you want, because that's just when we start the budget calendar. But I can move it out as far as maybe March 1st, because normally we meet with department heads in February. So you guys, if you want to look it over and then let me know Monday. It's a good, clean document. Other localities use it, and I tried to make it as simple as possible. But there is questions that I would like you guys to kind of review and make sure it's something that, covers all the bases that everybody
think
wants.
we preach all the time, especially Jake and I, on account finance, that if we're gonna do it, it needs to be done within the budget process. And so this solidifies.
And that's what I've been
we
trying
try
to do, yeah,
say. That don't just come up asking, we need to have a plan every year. We need to know how much I hate doing appropriations. If it's not needed. Obviously, there's times that it's necessary, but if we can put it in a budget.
And I think last year, like, you guys donated to, like, Habitat for Humanity, but he had submitted a letter, like, January 1st. He was going around to different localities, and I kind of like that idea, because I was able to give it to you guys on the front end of,
Would you, like, when we donate or give, whatever it be, our parking ticket money to help, this would fall in the same.
I would say so, because you guys are also, you're covering something utilities-wise
Yeah,
for help
is
now.
it trash or?
I think it's, yeah, I think it's the full use. So anybody with a recipient
Absolutely.
of town funds should be held to this same. So it would streamline it. It's really gonna help us too internally to know, like, some of our reoccurring people we donate to, or are they a new person for when they do come ask. But this kind of puts it in line with budget.
Is this gonna go all the way down to, say, a banner request? So,
I think it should.
When you say banner request, are you saying waiving of a fee or asking for us?
To
like
purchase
we-
a banner.
Like we did for,
asking for the purchase of the banner.
That's kind of what I'm thinking,
Yeah,
more like
not
when
for
there's a
waiving a fee,
tangible,
like what we
item.
did for, the art walk. Instead
Yes.
of us giving money, we said, look, I'd prefer us just buy a banner. I agree, yeah.
Now, if it flows through us, then no. You know, like if we did the procurement and we did the issuance of the check to the vendor, then that's more of like a pass-through. This would be where we would want to see their books. If we cut them a check for $500 to purchase a banner, this would, you know, they would come back and they'd give us proof of what they spent the money on last year and then tell us what they're asking for this year. It's kind of what Mary has to do with the bus when she goes around to all the localities.
I have a question. Y'all saying that, okay, if you give up $5,000, so you give me $5,000, then next year I come back and ask for $5,000.
You need to show where you spent it.
You need to show why you did this and what you doing.
Correct. Yes, sir.
This is not happening. But we're gonna try to make it happen now.
Correct.
This is going to be
We just need,
painful to implement, but I think it's a great idea.
I mean, it puts us all on a spot, whether you support someone making a request or not. But when someone comes up and makes a $5,000 request, I mean, it puts you on a spot sometimes to, you really wanna say, I'm sorry, it needs to be at a certain time. This solidifies it and says, this is the process we must follow.
And I'll do my best to advertise, you know, I'll do it in the paper, we'll do it on Facebook, try to get it out there,
Yeah.
and we'll try to talk about it as much as possible. But, you know, you always have the ones that.
But, you know, I think what it is, you know, people, you give them $5,000 one time, they're under the impression that all they got to do is come back each year and that you guarantee them $5,000. That's something we need to stipulate, that we don't guarantee you nothing. If we give you money this year, that's not to say that we will
That's
give
right.
you money.
That's why I was hoping to kind of more streamline it this way,
Right.
where the pressure of groups coming in throughout the year.
We gotta remember, it's not our money, it's the taxpayers' dollars, so that's why we're trying to make sure that everybody in this town knows where their
And
tax
if you
dollars.
want, I can send letters to some of the groups you guys have already donated to, just to put them on notice so nobody's,
Yeah,
you know, taking off.
you're gonna probably wanna do that just so they don't say, oh, we tried to slide something under the table, or it'll probably be best.
We're gonna get a lot of work.
Oh, we're gonna get a lot
Are you
of
guys-
for the
If we do it
first.
that way.
Are
Yeah.
you okay with the February 1st deadline, or would you like to
I'd
maybe say March?
Go
1st?
March, yeah, February with Christmas and a month before that, yeah, it's gonna be.
Is all of this, I know that we'll probably talk about it when they're in front of us, is the envisionment for this, for most of this to still come out of council discretionary, or we?
Well, that's why I think it's important to have it in the budget process.
And have them come make a presentation.
Correct.
In years prior, yes, it has all come out of council discretionary.
Whether we have it
But
or not.
whether you guys want, we can work that out through the budget as well. If it'd be beneficial for us to almost just have like a donation type line item so we can track it that way, but that's normally all we use your discretionary for.
I think that makes sense. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure these are gonna come in front of council anyway, so, but if it's easier to line item them, whatever's easiest for you.
Yes, sir.
We'll look at it during budget.
So the downside of this is if the Ponytails go to the World Series again. So, you know,
Agreed.
I understand that there's places that have been doing events that haven't been, I think for the last 2 years that have borrowed, you know, I mean, you guys have donated to, but those events have been successful and they've helped the town out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll think of a, maybe we'll think of a rule saying we'll use 75% of council discretionary towards donations submitted on March 1st.
And I think it's a big difference between a $500 donation as opposed to a $5,000 donation.
I agree, I'm just saying.
It's just, it's easier to budget, or it's easier to wiggle in $500 than what it is 5,000. So,
Mr. Kennedy, would you?
But
I
reading
would
this,
I would like to see us have money set aside for contributions. And I'd like the discretionary fund to be funded for what Mr. Page is talking about. That's a discretionary item.
yeah,
But
Agreed.
if you're gonna give DBI, chamber, whoever.
they
then
should be
it
separate
should
line
be a
items.
item.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
Sound good to me?
I was saying, reading the state code, you can donate to organizations, nonprofit organizations, but not to individuals. Okay, it can't be to the ponies, it has to be the Blackstone Recreation Association if they meet the criteria. So you can still do things like that, but it has to be 501c3 appropriate.
Now, is the court system gonna think that we're just doing a shell game if we do like that, or
Pardon?
if we donate to the Blackstone Rec Association, and the Blackstone Rec Association turns around and gives that money to the ponies?
Because they're going to the World Series or
When they come
whatever.
back with a form asking for more money where they spent the form last year, I mean, is the court system gonna
I can
say
tell you, you're gonna have
it's a
people
shell
coming
game?
out of the budget cycle and come ask
Oh,
you
it's
for
gonna
money.
happen.
Oh, yeah.
We're just trying to consolidate as much of it as
And
possible.
prepare.
Yeah.
There'll be contingencies we have to deal with.
I mean, because
The girls are going to the World Series.
we've used pretty much all of our council discretionary fund in the past 2-3 years on a simple 1, 2, 3 donations.
I'm just making sure now that we're trying to tighten up with these code sections, that we don't mess up by, I just wanna make sure it's still legal for us to give the Nottaway Rec and then the Nottaway Rec to give to somebody else.
But does the Nottaway, for instance, the ponytails, aren't they an entity? That's Nottaway Rec ultimately, correct?
Ultimately, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's not a subgroup. They're still operating under, because the rec is funding all of it. If the Gators, whatever it be, went to.
I think the bigger question would be Juneteenth.
Yeah.
I don't know what their 501c3 status is, if they fully are, but do they meet any of those criteria of the type of a cultural organization or whatever? Do they fall within one of those categories? Because that dictates who you can donate to. And I'm sitting here reading it, I don't know if they fall into
Well,
those categories.
is there not, because this is state code we're talking, is there not a way they can organize their organization to fit one of these categories?
You gotta be 501c3.
Well, it says 501c3, but it also gives you specifics of what type of activities they can support. Beautifying and maintain communities or prevent neighborhood deterioration, things like that. I think the 501c3 is just part of it. In the state code, I think you gotta meet the additional.
So in that state code, if you come down to the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
it's the third sentence where it says, a locality may
Commemorating
make
historical.
like gifts and donations to any and all public and private nonprofit and agencies engaged in
Commemorating historical events. There you go.
commemorating historic events. So I think, but that may be more like a one-time donation type thing, if somebody.
So they're not 501c3?
I don't know what their status is. I don't know. I've heard them talking about it, but have I seen paperwork or Jennifer seen paperwork? I don't know if she has or not, and I
I have
haven't.
not.
I think there's
Well-
a couple that we've donated to in the past that we probably need to make sure. And if we can give any assistance in helping them become a 501c3.
Correct, absolutely. I mean, I just want to make sure it's above board, that we're given to the correct entities under state code.
This codifies it better.
Yeah. Do you want to make this, with the change of going until March 1?
Sure, we'll make a motion with the change going to March 1.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. We'll give that to them Monday night. Is that what you needed? All right, and this is gonna be Philip's range, I guess, the electric PCA rate adjustment. I guess that's Philip, or is that?
Over the course of the past 12 months, and we stopped doing it a few months ago because we had met. If you remember, there was a significant true-up in July 1st, 2022 rates. That true-up equated to about $459,000 for the year,
2021 rate.
2021 rates.
It went away. It was all squared up by July 1, 2022.
The collections.
Yeah, for true up.
Okay, all right. So the money has been collected, okay? The money is sitting in the bank, $459,000, a portion of which is $88,000. So the actual cash is in the 300s, and add to that the $88,000, that would come up with $459,000 because we collected that $88,000. We actually paid that back in the true-up the first 3 months, and then it was, they give us a discount on one of our VEMA bills, okay? So there's $459,000 of total returnable money that the town has collected. If you remember, the true-up was because Dominion Power felt like they had undercharged us the year previous, and VEMA filed suit at federal FERC, which is Energy Regulatory Commission, and won. And so we collected the money, and we need to return it. Okay, Jennifer's got a couple different options in here for paying back, but I caution you on the payback is that we've gotten and have received, and it's part of our power cost adjustment, a very significant increase in our fuel adjustment that has already gone into effect and will probably be observed in the next bill that's going out. And if you can see right there at the bottom, it says per 1,000 kilowatt hours effective October. VEMA usage, old rate, 0.022, and the new rate is 0.033. So it was a mid-year fuel adjustment that Dominion passed on to VEMA, and we are going to be passing on to everybody else. In order to return the money, we want to make sure we're trying to offset some of that increase, but we need to get it back to everybody. And Jennifer's given back 3 different options.
Yeah, before we go any further, when you say give back, a typical home in Blackstone, how much is owed to them? Because you can look at this and go, oh, 0.033 per,
If you look at that far right corner, or far right column,
Sounds ready for your question.
gotcha. Okay,
$20, $25 a month.
for how long?
Well, that's what we're gonna try to decide tonight, okay? She's given a couple different options in there. Obviously, the equalized option, in my opinion, is the best, and then Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would equalize the same amount that the fuel adjustment went up until such time as it's paid off. Is that correct? Okay. The other ones do not meet the same standard, but they take a shorter period of time. I do think equalizing will basically keep everybody's utility bill the same. And that's what I think we ought to do. I think you've got a couple different options in there where people wouldn't see any increase, but I think what this does is equalize the increase and offsets the fuel adjustment over a period of time.
So then if you go with option A, just saying, if you go with the 8-month credit, at the end of the 8 months, we obviously then have to go up on the fuel adjustment, correct?
No,
Fuel-
in,
okay,
in April, you may get another fuel adjustment increase, but Jennifer can,
so your
Yep, it was-
PA charge on your bill, right, consists of those 3 tiers. It's got your fuel adjustment, true up, and your CPA. Right now, there's 0 in the true up because we collected all that last fiscal year. So right now, you know, the customers, an average customer with just 1,000 kilowatt usage would see a $24 charge on their PA charge right now. But it's going up, so fuel adjustment goes up, they're gonna see almost like a $10 increase on their bill. But it came in, the news came at the same time that we can now, that true up that we had to earmark for lawsuit liability is freed up, and now we can return that at those, either one of those rates. And so you're correct, at the end of the 8 months, that true up, that red would go away. And so the customer would then feel more of an impact when it goes away. But then, Philip, correct me if I'm wrong, we're probably gonna see one in April as well. It's
You're gonna
kinda
see
what
a
the
pretty-
phone call was.
I think you're gonna see another dramatic increase in April.
Correct, and so him and I, we discussed equalizing, and so if there's some true up left after we equalize and try to help customers to offset this new, if there's true up left, then we could, cause if it goes up again in April, we could just try to give it back at a faster rate, but then, you're right, once that true up credit goes away, customers are gonna see
This
a
is where it's
huge,
hard. When I first got on
fuel
council
bill.
back 12 years ago, when rates were a big topic,
Mhm.
and it was, all right, do you take the hit? All right, well, when you take the hit, you're ultimately taking that hit for life, aren't you? Because, I mean,
If you give up a percent, you never get the percent
you
back.
never get that percent back.
That's right.
And so that's where this gets confusing is, all right, if you get that credit, fuel adjustment goes up, it's a convoluted, all the
Well,
electric rates are
We're hoping to
convoluted.
equalize and hoping that after the equalization happens, that the fuel adjustment isn't as severe.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's the idea, is hopefully come April,
So
everything's
if you
kinda
were to go
calmed down.
with equalize, they're not getting a discounted, well, they're getting a discounted bill because we're eating the fuel adjustment charge that went up.
They're still getting $24 on the, or on
Instead of
average
35.
24.28.
The customer shouldn't feel a difference, but we are, in the system internally, we are giving credits. But the
They'll feel it
customer-
though
yes,
whenever that runs out,
correct.
whatever, however
You'll-
long that will
Yeah,
be.
after April, when we know what the next fuel adjustment's gonna be, is probably when the pain will start. We can offset the pain, but we need to give this money back to everybody.
Absolutely.
We need
yeah.
to return it. It's just how fast you return it, and I do know that there's gonna be
You can
increase in
tell
fuel.
at the rate
Equalization
of
makes sense.
.01553, all the true up was gonna be given back in 9 months.
I think C is from up here and from the accounting part of it makes the most sense. But then people also like to see the money back in their pocket. And whether it costs them more after that runs out, that's,
Is there gonna be a line item on the bill that has this equalization on it, or are we just doing it internally?
So as I just explained, your PA charge on the bill internally has 3 different billing codes.
It'd be
It's
reflected in that,
got the
yeah.
SEPA, true up, and fuel adjustment. So internally, all 3 of those are gonna be charged. But the customer, because of the size of the bill, the customer only sees that PA charge, which includes 3 different billing codes.
the true up, the fuel adjustment, and what she calls SEPA, which is where we are obligated to buy electricity from, is it Philpott Reservoir, or Philpott Commission or something?
We just don't have enough space on the bill to be able to show everybody
Correct.
each individual.
That makes sense. I'm just curious.
But I think we can pull it if we needed to, like they could see, like if you wanted to look at your bill, I could show you out of
and
your
a lot
PA
of people
charge.
feel like and myself included, I'm sitting here, you almost feel dumbfounded when you talk these rates and, I mean, they're hard to digest and figure out.
I would just ask for everyone to think about if there's a way that we can show that we're giving this money back and it's being deducted on their bill and we're trying to be the best stewards of what we're giving back, that it doesn't get confusing like it did when we took some of that ARPA money and we supplemented bills.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the end of that, when everybody's bills went back up, they said, "Oh, Blackstone's raising our rates. They haven't done anything for our utility bills," and I have to explain to everybody how we spend all that money.
They got their break. We gave everybody, a
Correct.
big
Gave everybody
break
a break,
last,
but
in
nobody knew we gave
2021,
them a
we
break.
gave everybody a big break. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knew we gave them a break. There's a way we could let them know that we're trying to ease this.
I think it needs to be talked about at the council meeting Monday night. We just need to discuss it.
Maybe there's not a perfect solution.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that equalization is probably the best. Equalization is probably the best, but I also, optics, whether it's the 8 or 9 months, I feel like if people saw almost $10 or a $7, $8 decrease in their bill, it's kind of a feather in our hat, possibly.
I'm gonna ask a dumb question, can you just give them the money in the next bill, credit, one time? People would rather have the money right now, right before Christmas.
In 1 month?
Well, we can't because it's based, they wouldn't get back more comparable what they put in because we collected the true up based on the kilowatt hours, the usage. So where, your store probably paid more in than the help building.
figure that out.
we can't come up with a dollar amount
Well-
for
Per
that.
customer.
I mean, yeah, I could.
Put a note in the bill, if you go this route, and take part of the money and pay for that in the paper and spell it out. That's all you can do, you're transparent.